Okay, we're back. Sorry about the technical difficulty there based on a little issue with the router. I think based on a fetching incident, meaning with my dog there. Okay, so we got the analysis board. So this is part two. Part two is, oh, this one? No, where did it go? Now I have the wrong, this is the game one and two. The crazy games were games three and four. Oh, here they are. See, it's like this. The way they have it there is it's this page, and it has two sheets on it, so I'll just fold it in half and get both my games there. So this one is games three and four. So we just watched game three. That should be uploading as we speak. And then while that's uploading, streaming second game, or the second game I'm going to show, which is game four. And again, feel free to give your analysis and let me know if there is a way that you can participate on the actual analysis board. And as I said, well, maybe someone already hacked me, so go ahead and hack my analysis board, or just or just kibitz and provide some commentary that challenge what I'm saying. I'm all about that. You got to challenge each other. We're trying to get the truth of chess. Apply it to everything you do, right? Apply that method. So yeah, this one was against a guy I played last time. Actually, he's a streamer, Nicholas. I think it's Thies or Thies. And so the first time I got him, last time we played, this time I think I had an advantage at the end. So this is going to be the interesting part. But he ended up pulling through at the end. So this is my loss that I want to show you. So first of all, but it was pretty crazy. It wasn't as crazy as the last game. It was just like pieces flying around. And my opponent just wanted to like get at me right away, and moved his F pawn, his G pawn, but he got to my king, but then I got to his king more decisively. In this game, it was a little less of that. It was more of a closed game, more of a strategic game. So there's probably a lot to analyze, and the computer, it's going to be a little bit less about the computer here and more about the ideas. And we can use the computer to look at some lines, sure, but we'll look at the opening. It was a Dutch, so if you like the Dutch if you like playing the Dutch as black, or if you like to try to crush the Dutch, which I like to try to do, I like to try to get E4 in against the Dutch, just like as quickly as possible. Just smash open the position, and hopefully we can exploit those weak. It's kind of like when you play when they play F4 E5, almost like that last famous Lasker game. You know that line. Well, you can actually transpose to a King's Gambit. So, for example, if you play F4, this would be the bird opening. And if they go E5, now if I were playing white here, I think I would just play E4 and just play. That's how I started out tournament chess. Was just playing the King's Gambit, and did really well with it, because especially like 11, 12, 13, 14, 1500 level, you can really crush a lot of people with the King's Gambit. You can still probably crush people at the top level, but I think that the theory has been developed well. But the point is, yeah, I mean, a lot of times you end up moving the pawn, and you end up recapturing it with tempo, and you just get your pieces out and get an attack on the F file or something, kind of like the last game, actually, similar to that. Let's make sure we're good. Yeah, stream health is green. So I think, yeah, this is better. And let's see, we got Kostas here. I was talking with Kostas. He said it's 5 a.m. in Greece, so I'm not sure if he's going to stay with us. Okay, good. Thanks, Kostas. I'm glad it's finally working. Yeah, I think it was green for the most part, and then somehow either something happened. I think it had to do with the fetching incident with my dog. Okay, anyway, let's jump into it. So, because usually I'll like throw the tennis ball, and he loves to catch the tennis ball. See this guy right here? Come here, buddy. See, I'll throw the tennis ball, and he's a cool dog. I adopted him a few years ago, and so usually like it bounces over the router because the router is just on the floor. It's never really hit it, and decisively anyway. But this time it just knocked over the router. It was, again, it's on the floor, so it's not a big deal. But I think it probably hit it hard enough to mess it up a little bit. So it just needed a little restarting. Okay, so all right, he's gonna watch some chess, huh? He's gonna learn some chess. All right, let's see. So we got knight f3. So we ended up playing a Dutch, but he played f5 right away. And I'm curious about the theory here. I don't know if you're a theoretician, if you're into that, but if you're not, just skip this part later. If you're watching it later, or just come back in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, because I'll probably get into it. But I think it's interesting because we can watch some other games. Like maybe I'll quickly look at a GM game, just to see hopefully how white can crush the Dutch, and maybe and how maybe white gets crushed by the Dutch as well. I don't think that's what happened here, but I got to get this worked out well for me, and then somehow I might have gone awry. But I mean, eventually in the middle game though, things went well for me. But it was the end game and time pressure, things got messed up. That's what I'm really curious about, other than the opening. A little bit of the middle game strategy, but most importantly, the how I could have capitalized on that end game. I think it was a win, but maybe I'm wrong. Let's see. So after knight f6, so I just transposed into a d4 opening. Now I've actually played, I think I have one game in the database where I played bishop g5, and I still was playing for e4 at some point. I love that e4 idea. Because I don't think it's what black wants. So you always want to do what your opponent doesn't want in that system. And I think if you can smash him with e4, and I've actually seen one line where you get your bishop on d3. I think it's like you play like c4, bishop f4, e3, bishop d3, queen c2, h3, and g4. So you end up hitting with g4, maybe with e4 in some lines too. So, but really, I think that's a nice, uncompromising way to play against the Dutch, rather than just like something bland against it. I mean, you can play like g3 and bishop g2, and you could probably be fine with white, but I'd rather exploit it more. I've done that with c4, and you get d5 and knight d4 and stuff after they play e6 and try to get an e6 or hit f5 or something. Yeah, you can do that too. You can play a little more positioning, but ideally I like to just destroy the Dutch. Because I think, okay, if you're playing with the black pieces and you move the f pawn so early, there is a lot of ways you can get punished for that. So c3 instead of knight f3. But let's see. So after knight f6, c4. So I was kind of aiming for the knight c3 line. Now I remember he did this g6 thing. So I wanted to play a little differently, because last time I actually did do g3, bishop g2, and I played e4, and I got an advantage out of that and ended up winning. But this time I was like, well, he probably analyzed that, so I'll play something different against him, which is probably a good practical choice. And now I could either go g3 or knight c3, both seem fine. I did knight c3, and then he goes d6. And now I still want to get h4 in. Oftentimes I'll play positionally, but I was like, now see, I felt like I did it wrong. I mean, the insertion of h4 probably isn't a big deal, but I think h4 happens in this line, where you play like a pure d4 opening, where you go d4, f5, c4, knight f6, I think it's knight c3, g6. Now I think you go h4 here if that's a line. Yeah, h4, and this is very uncomfortable. It was actually a Susan Polgar game that I was using as part of my analysis when I was looking this up. Oh, look at that. We have Topalov lost. Oh, look at that. There's a Judith Polgar game too. But no, Judith Polgar lost, or she won with black in this position. Susan Polgar won with white. I think it was against a very strong player too, if I recall. But yeah, white does pretty well here. So 3 out of 4. Well, okay, Judith Polgar. Well, she beat Topalov too, which is pretty good. But h4 is an interesting way to play against the Dutch. So after h4, let's see, what's the main response that they do? They just bring out their bishop, and then I think we just go, the idea is h5, and then you get that awesome e4 in. So we hit them with h5, they take it, right? And then I think we go e4 right away. We don't need to sack if we don't want to. We could sack, but we just go here. So the idea is that now we're preparing the sack with the queen takes back, which is going to be pretty devastating on those light squares and the king's exposed. So they kind of have to do something about it. They have to go back to f6 most likely. Do we go e5? Yeah, it looks like you could even take it. I would do e5. Yeah, I like that. And e5 he did really well. And we have Onishchuk lost against that. I think it was e5. But yeah, e5 in practice did well. Now this was the game that Susan played against. Let's see if the Susan Polgar game shows. It may not be a comprehensive database, but we'll see. I'm sure Lichess has a decent database. So up to 94, now we just take it, I think. Yeah, we just take it. And now you've fragmented black structure. Doesn't seem like it's a big deal because they're going to castle and get the rook out anyway. But we have the open h file. So actually, yeah, castling is not really that comfortable for white to do here. And then what do we have here? Queen g4, queen c2. Oh, f4 doesn't look intuitive. Bishop h6 is okay. I kind of like the look of queen g4. Interesting. Okay, they go d5, opening the bishop on the queen. And then you just go, this is really uncompromising. I like this. And what if they take here? If black plays uncompromisingly in response, we sack the rook on h7. Nice, nice. You see it? Do you see the tactic? Rook takes h7. and then check, and they're almost getting mated. Well, you can't go mate here because the rook, you take the rook now. Oh, yeah, you just toss. Oh, that's over, huh? It's over. Very nice. Because if you block with the bishop, you get mated. You block here, you get mated. You take with the rook, you get mated. Because the bishop will obstruct the rook's protection of f7. So it's over. And again, bishop blocks. So these are the kinds of things where you can really punish your opponent, whether they're ready or not. I mean, it's ready or not, here I come, I'm breaking through. And yeah, okay, again, that was it. Black took on d4, which is probably not prudent. Okay, castling is definitely more prudent, but what do we do there? Knight e2. So now that's not an expected move, but I can see the power. You're guarding this, maybe you're coming to here and you want to sack or something. See, these are some fun lines. Check it out. If you're thinking about, well, if you do play the g6 line, probably most people don't know this line, but now you know it if you're watching this. And it's something I think Simon Williams did it too. It's something Simon Williams would do with Harry the H pawn, right? And I think when I was doing my analysis as well, sometimes I get lucky when I'm doing it now. Like when I was in India over the winter, like the first one in Bhopal when I was playing the first tournament there, pretty much like all the analysis I did for my opponents, because like there were a lot of young opponents, and they were like always playing the same lines. They were really sharp, but they knew their line and they were playing it. So I was like, oh cool, this guy plays the B3 Sicilian, so I'm not really playing the Sicilian that much, but I will play the Sicilian and prepare a line against that, and it worked. And I got a cool win there. But yeah, so this preparation worked at one time, but I was hoping to go into that again, but it was a while ago, and I was like, I knew something felt a bit off. So I think that the difference is that you don't want the knight on f3. See, that nuance is very important. So you want to have it with knights with the d4 and c4, more of a traditional where was it? More of a traditional d-pawn opening. And then, it doesn't seem like you want c4 if you're going to attack, but in some minds it prepares for you to play d5, but it works out just right here with h5, e4. And now look, if they take, I think you sack your rook. I'm pretty sure you sack the rook on h5. You could even play g4. I would like to sack my rook there. That looks like fun. And then after queen takes h5, check. King f8. Queen f5 check. Who do we have here? I don't know who oh, we have I've heard of him. Have you heard of this guy? Hikaru Nakamura, former U.S. champ, a few times I think. He likes his queen h5. He used to play that a lot. Like I think he did like e4, e5, queen h5 right away. He's done that kind of stuff. It's not the worst opening in the world, but maybe a little bit, yeah, a little asking for a bit too much, but it's interesting. But in this line, this is pretty dangerous. So what did Nakamura play here? He did, he did that line with bishop h6, and black took, which was a mistake. They should have played d6. So after takes, what we take with the check, that's nice. And he's playing against a baron. He's playing against Michael Baron. 22. Okay, so a much lower rated player. So we can't really know whether it's because of the line or because we'd have to do some deep analysis to find out. But we'll just get a feel for how he beat a master at 2250. So he checks again, keeps the initiative going, keeps that fire burning, and then we have knight takes. Okay, well yeah, okay, saying plus 1.1. Queen g8, interesting defense. And of course, we're not going to trade queens. Well, we can win the c7 pawn if we feel like it. We don't need to. And he takes it. Well, he's hitting the bishop. Now you got to bring out your knight. Can we hit the knight? Just castles, defend the pawn. And you can see now we got 2, 4, 6 pawns against 2, 4. So we're up a pawn for the exchange with the king in the center, lead in development. Okay, some weaknesses in black's position. That's all we need to know. We have full compensation. Computer says it's plus 4 for white, despite being down in exchange. It didn't matter. And then we smash through the center. Chase the knight back, check the king, coming through on the light squares, check him again. We just need to hit him on the dark squares now. There it is. What are we getting? What are we getting? Knight f7 check or what? Yeah. Ooh, nice, nice. So we have here a discovered attack. We have a discovered attack, or a clearance, really. It's a clearance, sorry. But in effect, it's the same idea. You basically, by moving your rook here, you're unleashing the queen. But it's to clear the line so the queen can reach there and deliver mate. And did they play on? Yeah, they let him mate. No, then they played it and they tipped their king and resigned. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So that's if you want to play really aggressively against the Dutch, and especially if you know they're going to play G6, the early G6 line, then here's a little trick for you: play H4. Now let's look at the one that I did, which I don't think was that good. Make sure the stream health. Yeah, okay, looks like the stream health is better now. Okay, so the one that I did was, okay, we were looking at the Dutch. E5, yeah, this is where Lasker crushed somebody after this line. So you can do this too if you're playing against the if you're playing against F4, the bird opening. But be prepared for E4, and now you're playing King's Gambit. I'd recommend actually I like declining it. Bishop C5 or Knight C6. Those are both good options. In the Art of Attack and Chess, it shows a cool game by Vukovic, cool game by Black, where he declines it. Okay, so anyway, here we are. We have Knight F3. We'll promote that variation. That's our line that we played in this game. Okay, so F5, D4, Knight F6, C4, G6, Knight C3, and probably a dubious move, H4 after D6. So the main move is what? I'm sure I could play G3 here. That's the main move. E3 is also standard. So yeah, I mean, if we want to do like as I mentioned, the E3 and the Bishop D3 and the Queen C2 stuff, that's interesting. And with the H3 idea, I've seen that before. I think maybe I played that in Blitz, but it looks like G3 is definitely the main line here. And I think a lot of times you do play D5 and Knight D4, as I mentioned. I had a cool win there once in a tournament game. I think my opponent just played inaccurately, but it was interesting because he got this massive center, but I ended up getting the side pawns, and both pawns just in the middle game, they both ended up down here. He had a huge center, but it didn't matter because my passed pawns made it. So after D6, then I went for H4. So H4, the record is not so. Okay, let's see. Let's pull up the analysis board. So yeah, it says it's the main move. The computer likes G3. Let's see what the computer thinks of H4. I'm curious. That doesn't mind it. Yeah, I mean, I kind of felt that it wasn't the correct move, like it wasn't the right move order, but I'm like, hey, it has a psychological point. And now my opponent played H6, which seems like a concession to me. When he plays H6, he softens G6, and I'm like, oh, cool. Now, if I ever get the bishop and the queen here, now I get to smash you open with E4 or G4 in the center. Well, that's going to have even more effect on G6, and maybe if the knight can ever get to F4. But yeah, I just don't feel like H6 was the right move. It looks like Bishop G7 is the way to go. And we have in this line, after Bishop G7, 2 wins for Black, a draw, and a win for White. So Black did better after Bishop G7. But yeah, H6, yeah, so if you play as Black, just play Bishop G7 there. H6, didn't feel right. Now, the computer likes, okay, so now we're already out of the book. The computer likes H5. I just felt like I don't need to rush H5. Yeah, I could just play E3. What did I play in the game, actually? After H6, I played Queen C2. So, well, I want E4. I want that E4 move. We'll see, because like in certain lines, let's say in the game, okay, so it says it's approximately the equivalent of playing that. So if let's say Bishop G7, I don't think he did he? No, he played Knight C6. But if he did this, then I can play E4 or H4 and H5 and then E4. But yeah, a computer likes it too. See, I'm telling you, just destroy the Dutch with E4. Sorry, Dutch players. Yeah, if people start playing E4 against you and winning a lot, you might want to change your opening. But I'm sure most people won't do this idea because it looks kind of weird. It's like, well, you're giving up your E pawn for an F pawn, you're letting the bishop out. But think of it like this: when you open this up, you're getting the E file, and you're exploiting a weakness on E6 that's already created because you moved the D pawn and the F pawn. See down there, pawn's the soul of chess, said Philidor. Every little pawn move matters. So that D6 move and the F5 move can be exploited with E4. I mean, it's not like it's the end. It's not like it's resolved, but you have something. Now, if it takes, now look at that weakness on G6. After knight takes, now we're already threatening to take on F6 and win G6. It's over. So he wants to take, and again, he can't go Bishop F5 because B7 here. Or can he? I didn't think he could do Bishop F5. Okay, well, it looks like he can do it, but he's going to sacrifice the pawn. No, I guess he just has to. I don't know. I mean, what do you do about that? You want to play King F7? That doesn't look healthy. If you go Bishop F5, I take, I win a pawn, and you have weaknesses. Queen B4 doesn't look that natural. I mean, C5 is kind of interesting. Is there just a natural developing move that we can make? What if you just go like, I don't know, what if you just go here? Is it that bad? Then he gets in c5. I think it's a little counterplay. You can hit him with h5. The computer was liking c5, I think. c5, that's interesting. Takes. It looks very sketchy for white to do this because it's not, black is up in development here, but white is winning. What's going on here? Check. Wait, why can't you just block? What am I missing here? Do you see it? Oh, what? Just g4. You force him off the diagonal. There's no way he can guard g6. So there you go. That's nice, using the long range power of the queen there. Yeah. So c5 is a deep move with the idea of you're actually trying to tear open the sixth rank to reach g6 combined with g4. That's hard to see. Very cool idea though. Okay. So anyway, he didn't. I was hoping for something like this, but he didn't really help me out there. So, oh, now I'm on battery. Okay, hopefully it won't sound like robotic or metallic. Okay, we'll try and make it through the rest before it dies. So, or else I'll have to plug it in. That wouldn't be the end of the world, I guess. Okay, bishop g7, e4. So, no, wait, did I play e4? No, I would like to play e4. Wait, which game was this? This was the this was just like I was just doing analysis. After queen c. So I did queen c2, but this is if he played something else. Knight bishop g7, then I would play. But he didn't make it so easy. He tried to mix it up a little bit with knight c6. Now here's where I think I felt that I misplayed this here. I just felt that I misplayed it. So, well, I played b4 here. I mean, well, this was the last round. I had, what was my score? I think I had the chance to win the tournament. I think I would have tied for first. I was going, yeah, I won this tournament twice before. I was like, okay, I know something's going to go wrong. So I didn't want to think that, but I'm like, okay, it's going to be hard to get it 3 times in a row. I messed up, and then I messed up game 2, of course, being up 2 pawns. That was annoying. But then but this game I was feeling good about. I was trying to get a strong initiative though. So I thought, okay, I wanted to try and do something with I mean, I knew that if he comes to b4, queen a4 check, and then I played b5. And actually, one time I got him in a blitz game like with that tactic. So I thought, okay, let's see if he falls for it again. So I played b4, and yeah, it doesn't look like it's bad. But then he gets e5 in, so it's like I want to play in the center. Is there something else I could have done here? Looks like h5. What's the difference? So yeah, I just felt like, no, I mean, knight b4 doesn't matter. Yeah, I could have played e4 probably. Let's see, does e4 work? It still looks like it's a little better, but he wants his e5. That's why he played knight c6. Makes sense. And I don't really want to close it up because then I don't really want that kind of position in the king, like against the king's Indian. That's not what I'm playing for. I'm playing to get them out of their comfort zone, not go where they want. A lot of players like this with e5, f5, king's Indian type setup when you lock it up. I want to keep it open. At least semi-open. That's not what I want. So, might have been my best bet though. But it looks like h5 was pretty strong. So if I go h5, so the difference is that now we're really creating some problems for him on the light squares. Well, if knight takes, do we do the same thing like in the other game with e4, or do we go rook takes? Oh, it's saying knight h4. Yeah, that g5, g6 point, it just becomes a real nuisance for him. He shouldn't have played h6, so this is really a way to exploit that. So yeah, h5 would have been I kind of waited on that, but now would have been the moment to strike. That was the way to get the edge, it looks like. So let's say he takes, and I go knight h4. Yeah, he doesn't want h5. Or g5 is just lost. It's got to be lost after knight g6, or knight takes f5. But knight g6, we hit the rook. And then let's say the rook moves over, and then he's hanging his bishop and his knight. So you just take the bishop and you pick up the knight. So he can't do that. So what does he have to do? Rook g8 immediately. Okay, we still take g6. We just chop it off because it removes the defender. It's saying d5. But what about this knight takes g6? Oh, he's got knight takes d4 now. It makes a difference, huh? And if we go queen a4 check, he's got bishop d7. Now, what's the difference? Okay, when you went knight h4 right away, what would, oh, but he's defended g6. So like if you took right now, you can just attack the knight, I think. Yeah, you just, let's say, probably queen d3 is fine too. But let's say you go here, and then now knight g6 is a real serious threat. So he didn't stop the threat, and his other knight's hanging. This is hanging, and this is going to be hanging. This is going to be hanging. So h8. So yeah, that's the problem. He can't take it yet. But the difference is after rook g8, the rook is not going to hang when you take on g6, meaning he can take on d4. Slight nuance there. A little in between move. You go queen d1. He take. I mean, I don't think it's that bad. But look, he has the center now. You go queen. What are we going to take? E3. Oh, e3 is interesting. E3. So you try and take on h5. He goes back. Okay, we get our. Are we losing a pawn though? We got 3, 6. Yeah, we're losing a pawn. It's not super clear, and black has a center now. And then he hits you with e5. Yeah, I don't like that too much. I think black is surviving that, and he can like bring out his bishop to e6 and tuck it away here, cover the white squares. So I don't like that too much. But this just, just to give you some ideas about, and for myself in the future, about how to handle this type of setup when there's the softness on g6. But I was looking at something else. So, let's make this the main line. Knight c6. So, what else was there? So we're looking at h5, not b4. So h5, knight takes, knight h4. Oh yeah, it was rook g8 and d5. So if rook g8, d5, okay, he hits you with the knight. Oh, the knight's going to be loose on d4, so he goes to e5. Then you're still going to sack on g6 because his knight on h5 is loose. But remember, we've already sacrificed the pawn on h5. But it should favor white because you've given up a pawn, he's given up a pawn, but you fragment the pawn structure. You fragment the pawn structure when knight takes g6. Let's say he takes back with the knight. Oh, he has a little desperado, knight g3. So if he wants, he can throw, because he knows he's going to lose the knight. So he tosses this in, makes you take back, it looks like. Let's say he does that. That looks like fun. And then you take back, I guess, and then he takes. So at least you fragmented the structure. What's going on here? We got 2, 4, 6, 7 equal pawns. But I like that. Yeah, I like bishop f4. And then now you just have like really good piece placement. You got space advantage. You fragmented the structure. So yeah, you have double pawns, but they give you an open file with which you can attack the h6 pawn along with the bishop. So yeah, you got this weak pawn at f5 due to the fact that you split the f5 pawn from the g6 pawn and the e7 pawn. You can't go here since you just take it. So that's yeah, I think black has some serious problems there, and we'll just probably castle queenside and maybe like e3 bishop out, and I'm feeling comfortable. Well, once you get here, you can get to here too. So the double pawn's not a huge deal. So actually, the computer was saying, hey, okay, Stockfish was like, well, maybe we just don't go knight g3. Let's just take back. Well, then obviously, then white has to lose a tempo rather than you give him a tempo by going knight g3. So after this, and then he's got to strike back. He's got to go e5. But I think we take. Yeah, we split the pawns again, and he's left with these split pawns on f5 and h6, more pawn islands for black, and white's structure is just better. So because of the superior pawn structure, white is therefore, it says white's up more the equivalent of more than a pawn. Oh, that's interesting. Queen b3 hits b7. Anyway, this is good for white. You have a really good placement for the rook. You're hitting this and this. The knight can always go to d5. The queen can go to b3. You can get your bishop out somehow. Maybe e3 is coming. Maybe even g3 and bishop g2. That's possible too. Oh wow, it's even saying g4. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on there. So this would be good. That would be the improvement. That's why I should have played h5. That's how I could have gotten an opening advantage. So even with h4, which I wasn't sure about, it turns out I could have gotten something there. But I went for b4, which is like, it's not always like how I like to play, because I usually like to play in the center more than the queen side unless I'm playing in English. Even with an English, I like to play a little more in the center, or even the king side sometimes. But after, you got to be, the beauty of the English is it's so flexible. This is pretty flexible too, as I mentioned. I mean, you don't usually play e4 here, but you could do it. So b4 again, he can't take it. It's immune to capture. So after b4, he goes e5. Then I'm like, what was I thinking? I just let him get that in. Not a huge deal, but of course he can't take because why? Queen a4 check, and you pick up the knight because when the knight goes back, you're forking the king and knight, so he has to go back. and then you pinned it now. So it's a fork and then a pin, and you win the knight for some pawns, but should be winning for white. Okay, so after b4, I guess it was an interesting try. But then, of course, I don't know, for some reason I wasn't thinking about this. I was like, I didn't, certain lines, but yeah, knight c6 enables it. I thought I had b5 or something, but he gets it in too quick. So yeah, I kind of had to just give in and be like, all right, fine, I'll just play e3, which was the correct move, it seems. And you let him play e4, but we're going to chip away at e4 anyway. So this is kind of similar territory. You'll see this type of thing in a Dutch. But again, the h4, I got something by making him play h6. This is always a weakness on g6. So I think white's okay there. So of course he pushed. He said, hey, at least I get to attack your knight with the tempo. Now I thought for a bit, should I go knight g1? Should I go knight d2? The computer liked knight g1. I was thinking that because I was thinking I'd go knight g1 to h3 to f4. And I was like, it seems a bit slow. It's just not really, let's not mess with that. But yeah, it likes knight g1, ultimately going that way to here. And then hitting g6. Maybe you throw that, you combine that with h5, and you got something there to work with. And given that this position is now semi-closed after they pushed, you can choose to pry it open when you want with f3, perhaps after castling queenside, maybe. But now that I played b4, not so much probably. I would have castled queenside with the pawn on b2 more likely, or even b3. But b4 makes me a little more wary to castle queenside because he can just chip it open more easily. I push, he pushes. We both push, he moves the knight, then he hits me with like c6, opens up lines. So for now, I just kept my king in the center. I don't think I ended up castling. So again, I said it is a little crazy. It does get kind of crazy. But I want to win the last round, so I'm playing kind of uncompromised. Sometimes you can win through solidity as well. But I figured, okay, let's have some fun. So let's have some fun watching it, hopefully. Knight goes to d2. Yeah, so this has got to be worse, though, by a little bit than knight g1. It's probably close, and it seems like the evaluation is close, but it seems like I get a little more with knight g1. It's more principled, you know. It's just more of a principled maneuver. You say, why are you maneuvering your knight to g1? Well, okay, let's say he goes bishop g7, he finally develops that. We can go knight h3, or maybe develop somewhere else. Rook b1. Okay, let's just say you go knight h3 right away. Let's say he castles. He can take now? Oh, because now you got that problem with d5, the d5 line because of this bishop on the diagonal. So you actually do kind of have to go here. And besides, you want to guard your pawn eventually. So, okay, let's say he moves away. He's like, fine, you want to attack me. I'm just going to preclude that, get away, make you. If you want to play b5, you can do it. And then I would go bishop b2. What about knight h3 though? I guess there's no rush. Either way, it says bishop b2, then knight h3. Is there really a difference now? He gets g5, and oh, because of this. Because it'll hang, you can't take it. Oh, interesting. Yeah, there's little details matter here. Chess is all about the details, which are often seen in the pawn structure. So bishop e2, just to beat it over the head. Castles. Now knight h3 after he's castled. So we do a little, bishop e2 is used as a waiting move almost. Transposing the right move order. With the right move order. So after bishop e6, now we hit it with knight f4. Of course, he has knight at bishop f7, guarding that. But now the knight seems to be doing something. Okay, it's more useful. It likes white, saying white's up like half a pawn equivalence, but why? White has more space on the queen side. You can potentially play f3 at some point. We have, again, like we have pressure on g6, but black has dealt with that with these two pieces. He could even do king h7, or maybe he'll just want the king on h8, but those pieces deal with this. And he might get g5 in later on as well. As in the game, I might play f3. And this is where I was a bit wary about h4, because if the pawn's on h2, I'm more comfortable playing f3. With the pawn on h4, when you play f3, you weaken g3. So it's a bit risky. I was playing a little risky. Anyway, that might have been the more principled way to go, I think, knight g1. So I thought about it, but I was like, you know what? Let's just do let's get ready to strike in the center, and just this seems like it can't be that bad, but you want to have a clear plan. It's a little less clear with knight d2, but it also doesn't waste time. So I was like, I went with the practical move in a short game. So I guess I can't fault myself for it. You can fault me for it if you want in the comment section, or let me know if you think there's an improvement. Bishop g7. Okay, and then I go bishop e2. So it looks like I could have gone b5. And oh, and then there's that issue where the knight maybe works for him now because of that diagonal opening up. So for example, I did bishop e2. Can he take now? Probably. It says castle is equal. But what if he took? Does it work? He takes. I throw in my check, right? He comes back. I go d5. Is there some trick that he has now with like Knight, but even knight takes d5. No, but then, oh, the knight on d2 stops and he checks, though. So the bishop wouldn't take on c3 with a check. That nuance is important. Bishop to d7. Okay. I take. Am I just winning the piece? But what if he tries to do something more uncompromising, like knight takes? Do I just... No, I don't take back with a knight. I think I take back with the pawn. Oh, I just let him take, and then I move the rook, right? I imagine I play rook b1 here, just the sober move. No need to get all crazy, even though it's a crazy game. No, make a sober move sometimes. Might help you out. And then we win our piece. So we're netting a piece for what, like some pawns, 2 pawns maybe? Takes, bishop takes, come back, hit the maybe bishop queen c4 or something. Queen c2, what about queen c4? Oh, he's going to get hit us with d5 soon, so we don't want that. And now we got 4, 5 pawns for 8 pawns. So it's actually 3 pawns for a piece, but generally I'll take a piece, especially an open board like this. I don't know, either way, it's hard to say, but on an open board, I think the piece will become more relevant more quickly than the pawns would. The pawns might have their stand and ending. They can be used as protection, but again, that h5 move can actually split things up very nicely for us. So yeah, so he didn't have that there because of knight d2. So it has its point. Okay, wait, no, this didn't happen. That would have been cool, but no, it didn't happen. Okay, no, he didn't take. So after b4, wait, where are we? I just played bishop b2, so no, he doesn't take it there. He castles, I think. He castles, yeah. He could have played a6 or castles, but okay, the computer's saying it's about equal. It makes sense. And now I played a3. When he took a break from the board, he went out for a minute, and I played a3 again. I was like, wait, what happened there? Is it the exact same position? He's like, oh, a3. Nothing, didn't really change much. But of course, b5 is more natural, but I don't really like the knight coming in and then coming to d3 potentially. So I thought a3 is more solid. And something about why didn't I play rook b1? Why did I favor a3 over rook b1? Well, my reasoning was that if he plays a5, then he can still get in. So for example, if I did this, let's have that be the main, I'll make this the main line. Okay, it looks like it's still approximately equal according to Stockfish anyway. But if I had done rook b1, he goes a5, I go b5, and then let's say I move queen b3. I was just thinking like at some point he might drop his knight there. I don't really like that, but there's more to it. Knight g4, and now I don't have the option to play h3 anymore because I played h4. Every pawn moves has its weakness. Wait, what about just take? I was looking at certain lines like this where I just take and then take. Oh, but he throws in the check first. That's the problem. So if I try this dubious move, well, it looks like that's actually maybe the best move. But then he gets his knight d3 check in. I move my king somewhere. Let's say I go up so I can still maneuver on the back rank. It's kind of getting kind of insane. He takes. I probably take on e4 with the d knight. It likes the c knight. Why? The d knight, c knight. What's the benefit? It's hard to evaluate which one's better. Where do we want the d knight? Because usually you would do it with the piece that's less active. But we also want to think about where it's going to be more useful. It's hard to say. Okay, let's. Well, what if we did this? Why is that bad? Knight takes c. I think it's fine. Yeah. Okay, knight takes c1 check. Can't just give in to the computer. You got to test it. Rook takes. If you want to do good analysis with the computer. And actually, when I was getting back into chess in 2014, I was like, nope, I'm not using the computer. I'm just going to do my own analysis, which I did for about a year. And I was like, fine, I'll start doing computer analysis. And I think that's one of the things that helped me to finally break through 2200, which I had already broken 2200 FIDE a long time ago, but then my USCF never caught up because I was playing. It was more from 1 year where I played more international. So my USCF had to catch up. And I mean, computer analysis helps, but you have to take it with a grain of salt. You got to challenge it. Yeah, okay. It's like approximately equal, it looks like. I should probably plug in a minute. Okay. So let's see. I'm just going to have to move it over to the... I don't have... That's why, because I don't have a plug here, though. Let's see. So where were we? Yeah, so that's why I played a3. Just, you know, a modest move, but it didn't give him any of those options. Was it? Yeah, a3, and then rook b1's coming, I guess. So I go a3. Maybe it's a bad move. I don't know. It's probably not bad, but maybe rook b1 was slightly more, or b5 was more accurate, more pressing. But again, I don't want to give. I don't like giving my opponent things if I don't need to. with the knight coming into b4. So he goes to e7, and then I crack it up with f3. I know that's an ambitious move. Looks like I can castle and be fine. I could probably castle and then play f3. The computer line doesn't even give f3 there. Let's see what I think. I mean, I know it's weakening because when you play f3, you are weakening g3, which did give me problems later on. It came back, but it gave me some things I could work with too. Well, I ended up playing f4 anyway. He didn't take it. I ended up pushing, and I ended up getting in some fun things. But f3, I'm like, hey, let's fight. Let's have a fight. So I go f3, and then he goes c5. Now it looks like he should have just taken it. Probably gives him to open up the e file. Kind of like I was mentioning, when they play f5, you want to play e4 to bust open the e file. Well, now I have a weakness on e3 due to f3 and d4. There's no protection for this pawn by any other pawns. So this would be something for him, yeah. To just, oh, look at that, yeah, he can do takes. Okay, well, in the game, let's do the main line. He played, what did he do? Oh, c5, which was interesting. He's trying to hit me on the dark squares now. But now it's not so bad. But this seems like it's something. Okay, if he takes, I was looking at bishop takes. Actually, I was even considering g takes. I know, yeah, g takes was really weakening. I know that. I know this is like the main thing you usually do. But again, usually the pawn's on h2. But like in the English, I've used to play the English a lot. If they do e4, you usually will want to respond with f3. But then he has f4. Is that so bad? Yeah, we could play e4. We have a really nice center now, but we have weaknesses on the king side. And that's where the knight will try to exploit that with knight g4. And the computer certainly likes black here. Yeah, and then look at that. Now c5 in a line like that is going to be strong. So yeah, this is the way for black to go clearly. That's very nice for black. But it looks like you do want to take the pawn. So by him playing c5, maybe wasn't quite as sharp. He might still get a chance, but you want to play really sharply against f3. So he plays c5. Now I think I took and pushed. It looks like I could have taken an e4 and then taken on c5. I did b take c5 and d5, giving myself a pass pawn. I'm like, hey, that's an asset. I'm looking for assets. I was thinking about that recently, like a lot about that today. About, as I was driving, I was thinking about how you can create, essentially you want to create long-term assets that you can hold on to throughout the game. So like if you're not sure what to do, be like, okay, at least I know I have that to hold on to. So for instance here, by taking with the b pawn, and then he takes back, now I play d5. I'm like, okay, I know it's a little risky, but I have an asset now. That's your real estate right there that you can hold on to, that d5 pawn. So he should still take on f3. Yeah, it looks like maybe I'd say it's unclear. It says minus 0.2 for black. Yeah, I think it's unclear. I don't think the computer has a definitive. You'd have to let it run for a while on a very high-powered computer to really get a definitive explanation of what's going on there. So f3, c5. What happened? I took it. Now it likes d takes c5. I did b takes again. Now what about d takes? So d takes, d takes. What's the merit of that? Just bishop b2. Okay, let's say he takes. Sure, why not? Opens up the a file for us though. Hanging kind of loose pawn out there. You might want to get c5 in. Helping to control d5. You might get f4 like in the game because that helps us to control the diagonal. Fight for that. So if he goes queen b6, now he's hitting that weak pawn though. That's a problem. He's hitting both pawns. So wow, look at that. c5. What is going on here? Takes knight 3, right? Oh, rook a4. Does bishop a3 trap it? Oh, no, then it's queen a5. Yeah, rook a4 traps it. So we have the b5 covered by the bishop, b5's covered, b6 is covered, and he's stuck. She's stuck. So, yeah, that looks pretty cool. So they can't take on b4. That's a nice touch. Well, it gives it as the best move, but what if the queen just goes back, like to c7? Do we have knight b5 to d6 now? Castle queenside. That's a computer move. Because, I mean, I don't think many humans would be like, yeah, I'm just going to castle and this completely, well, both sides of the board are open. So, yeah, but the computer's obviously doing that based on deep analysis of, like, what the possibilities are. But when you look at it, actually, yeah, there really isn't anything immediately. So I might venture into that, but it's kind of like in a Slav line, the really sharp Slav lines where black castles queenside, and they push the pawns on the queen side, like the line where Kasparov defeated Topalov with the beautiful rook sacrifice, where he defeated him as white. So that's interesting. That's really interesting. But it just shows you, like, you think you have some evaluation, and then it turns out, like, oh, he's forking these two things. That's your evaluation. You're like, oh, that's good for black. And you're like, actually, white has this, and white's better after castle's queenside. Or if queen takes, you sack. Oh, you sack a knight though, and then you have rook a4. You sack the knight covering c5. See, because after queen takes b4, if you don't sack it, he's going to take here. So you guys sack the knight, play rook a4. You give up a knight and a rook for a queen, and some black gets activity. Maybe black isn't so bad there. I had a cool game where I stacked two pieces for a queen in 26 end of 20. But I felt like, again, I just felt like it was concrete. So maybe it's not terrible. But after D, let's see what happens. So after d5, let's see how it progresses here. Now I don't know about that. He blockades with d6. Okay, you hit this, but again, I have f4. It's not a big deal. But your queen on d6 is just subject to being attacked easily. So the queen is not the blockader you want on a pawn. Typical positional idea of using a knight instead. So maybe like this knight eventually might come here, blockade the pawn while attacking anything that's protecting it. It seems he has knight h5. Yeah, I thought he was going to do that actually because he hits g3. I don't even know what I was going to do if he did that. It seemed. I was going to take on e4, but I was like, okay, I know it's going to be really messy if I do that. Let's see. I'm curious. Like, knight h5. Maybe bishop b2 is the conservative way to play that. But if you take it, yeah, no, you can't do that. I mean, this looks really dangerous. Now the knight's coming in. You're basically like losing the exchange. If you don't, let's say you don't, if you go there, he's going to take. Oh, got to plug in. Time to plug that in. Okay, sorry about that. So is it coming back? Let's see. It says it's live now. OBS. Swing. Okay, sorry about that. So this time, the technical difficulty was, oh, we got to get that camera going. Okay, I think we have to restart the video capture. Where is that? Video capture device. We need to deactivate, activate, and that should do it since it just, I had to, the problem was I had it in a different port. So, okay, now we should be good. All right, so let's finish that analysis of this game. I think I might split it into a different video, but it's all good. Okay, so now I have a rook floating around. Okay, there we are. So after knight, so yeah, I don't think I want that. So this gets interesting. After knight h5, I think he should have done that. But he played queen to d6, and I'm like, okay, I go f4. This is actually a common sort of structure where you get your bishop on b2 and it's enhancing this. And even though you push d5, and you know, a lot of times that would give him the e5 square. But you say, no, I'm not giving you e5 because I have f4 in. So white doesn't really make many concessions there. And the computer says it's 0, and again, whenever the computer says it's 0, you can't really know for sure what it is. But after f4, and now I felt comfortable. I'm like, okay, this is a position I can definitely handle. I can play with this. I have my passed pawn. I'm going to work on that diagonal. He's got a little softness here. I have some issues too, but any space granted by pushing here is kind of nullified. Seems I have pretty good control, and this one's strong. Not so clear where to put his bishop. I can generate pressure on the b file. Maybe I can shove the a pawn. A lot of play, and maybe I can play g4 also, because g4 would undermine e4 if he takes. Otherwise, I might open up the g file, and I might still get h5 in. So I could destroy the entire pawn chain. Again, pawn's the soul of chess. Okay, so hopefully we're good now, running again. All right. Okay, so looks like it's green. So after f4, he goes a6, and so he stops knight b5. Yeah, I wanted to get knight b5, but I mean, I definitely couldn't allow queen g3 check, so I had to block that. I didn't want that. So now I decided to go a4. I think I did a4. Then I don't want b5 so easily played. Yeah, I did a4, which the computer likes there. Why not? It also gives you, I mean, you can actually just try to win that pawn on c5. So my idea is really to play a4, and if he doesn't do anything, I'm going to play a5 and split the pawns again, kind of like in those lines that we looked at previously, where we're going to split the pawns so this pawn can't defend this pawn. If it ever goes b6, it'll get taken. And now we got things like bishop a3 and knight b3, and it's going to be really hard for black to deal with that the pressure on that c5 pawn. And if we can win that pawn, actually I ended up winning it later. Maybe not under the ideal circumstance. I still should have played a5, I think. But after a4, he goes king h7. Now, I was thinking he should have gone g5. I don't know. Looks like bishop g7. Bishop d7 was fine too. But I'm like, look, okay, once he goes king h7, I was like, okay, you're not going to get g5 in now because I just take, and you know, I have the rook on your king. But of course, why didn't I play a5? What did I play instead? I played rook b1. What was I thinking? Oh, I was actually just planning to go bishop a3 and knight b3 still, and I wanted to get off this. So it was sensible to kind of get the rook off, but nah, a5 was clearly stronger. But yeah, so I was looking at this. I was like, what if you play g5? He said, I thought about it after the game we talked about it. And he said, well, I thought you were going to play takes in g3, which is the computer's favorite line. And I was like, I was actually thinking of maybe even taking and castling, but no, that can't be that good. He's like, yeah, and then I would have been happy if you had done that. Yeah, g3 is the way to go for sure. And if he plays g4, then he just, well, I have a good pressure on the h file. I'm going to have the bishop putting pressure on the diagonal. But as you see, it turned out really good for me out of this, the way what resulted. But yeah, that would have been the way to go. Now, if I had castled, actually, let's just look at it to see if my initial idea how bad it would have been. After takes, castles. Yeah, he was maybe saying it was going to go here, but I don't know. That didn't look so bad. Oh, because if I take with the rook, he has bishop h6, right? Or even knight g6, but he's just sort of getting it through on the dark squares. What about bishop h6? That looks really uncomfortable. Wait, rook f2. Do I just sack the exchange and get the dark squares? What am I missing? There's so many tactics in this game. I just sack this. Oh, that's cool. So if the bishop takes, I just take it back. If he takes the knight, I get this one. Well, then he still gets to take the rook. No, I still chop it anyway. And then if he takes it, I still take back. So if he takes, I still take back with the knight, saving it. And now we got 4 pawns for four pawns. But now it's my king who's safer than his. And the computer says it's equal again. You know, that we don't know exactly what that means here because it's just super unclear. Now suddenly it's giving white advantage. It means it doesn't know how to evaluate it yet. You'd have to give it time. I like white here for sure. I mean, because you're going to get bishop b2 and just try to get that battery on the diagonal. That's really uncomfortable. Again, rook b1 stuff can come. You know, you might have some swings at some point. You have a protected pass pawn on d5. It's not easy to play b5 anytime soon because of this. With the rook there, after bishop d7 possibly. But again, after bishop d7, that's where I might want to have a5. And so if he does play b5, I will take en passant, splitting the pawns further. Okay, so that's all that. That's all that line. So king h7 is what he played. And then I didn't record at the end because we were both in extreme time pressure. I have like 10 more moves. So after rook b1, again, it's got to be slightly less accurate. It says I'm still up like maybe a pretty good amount. Says I have the edge, but yeah, a5, I was looking at it, I know I should have just done it. I played, see again, like this is the type of psychology where it's like, I'm in a short game, let me just get off the diagonal, don't have any problems, but you gotta be concrete though. a5 is concrete in its ideas and it's sound. Now if he goes bishop d7, well now that I've locked it up, yeah, you could castle. What else is there here? Could I go rook b1? I was thinking about doing like something like this with rook b1 to b6 even, and then ideally just double up on the b file and attack b7 and tie him down to that. Obviously, I mean it's not a big deal, but at least it'll generate some initiative. And then, oh, look at that. Yeah, this is going to fall. I mean, you're going to get, look at that. You have knight b3 options, knight a4 options, bishop a3 options. Well, you might have to chop it off. But even if you, that would be a big concession if he has to give up his light squared bishop for one of the knights. Well, actually, you're left with kind of a bad bishop. But still, I don't know, actually. I'm not sure how big of a concession it is. But it's hard to evaluate. But, well, if we can somehow get this guy in the game later, then it would show for us. But this pawn is, I feel like that's the main problem for him, which is why a5 is very important to make sure that b6 can't be played guarding the pawn. But see, you know, but I mean, I was thinking, look, even if he plays this, I can do that anytime I want, which is effectively the same thing. But no, that's different though, because he gets b6, a5, b5, and he might, like, I think that happened in the game maybe, and then he holds that. Maybe, or maybe he gets b4 or something. Now it ended up getting super tactical here. It already is, but it got more tactical. So after king h7, I go rook b1. So again, slight inaccuracy. a5 was better for various reasons that I mentioned, and of course now he gets b6 in because I was gonna play a5 next move, and it's like, yeah. See, again, it wasn't made based on concrete considerations. I think this would have been much better. Okay. Anyway, it happened. And then I go bishop a3. Now I could have gone g4 right away. I think I did g4 next move. Yeah. So I saw g4. But I did bishop a3 first with the idea of a5 and knight b3 because that's why I wanted to move the rook off. I'm like, I'm going to win that c5 pawn, and I thought that looked pretty good for me because then I get two protected or two passed pawns, connected passed pawns. So I did bishop a3, but again, this is g4. Let's say h5. That's not really very common and very natural. Let's say he takes. I think I'll just take on e4 with the. Again, it likes that c knight. Okay, let's try the c knight. But see, the thing is, anytime that happens, he gets the f5 square, so it becomes really unclear. He can do bishop f5, and he can pin this. I was looking this. I actually looked at this line at some point because I was looking. Okay, you take, you get b6, and I'm like, this type of thing must be good. Well, it was the same thing. It was effectively the same thing in the next when I played g4. I was looking at that. I have that idea of bishop f5, knight takes d6. So rook b1, b6, bishop a3. So the difference is that the bishop is on a3, which actually makes it even more powerful because then when you get b6, you get c5. So that's the idea. Maybe it's not so bad. But, you know, like in the Fischer game, when Fischer played against, I did another video about Fischer versus Spassky in the line where Fischer played the Nimzo, awesome game. And Fischer did this thing with this. There's actually a game, there's a position in Silman's book, the How to Reassess Your Chess workbook, where it talks about playing a5 to stop these pawns, because you know a5 is strong for white. So you got to stop it even at the expense of a backward pawn on b6, which, yeah, can be defended with the knight or the rook. You can handle it. You have one weakness. You actually saddle white with two weaknesses, but most importantly, you don't let white destroy your entire structure. So that's an important point on pawn structure. Okay, so bishop a3, and then he goes bishop d7, natural. And now I hit him with g4, but now it doesn't actually recommend. Now it recommends back to b2. Okay, let's see. So I go g4. Can't be so bad, huh? He has b5 now. Is that what he did? That's what he did. Now again, this is where it gets super tactical. I get my break in, he gets his break in. Now again, I could have had my break on the previous move, and I could have stopped his break from being so effective with a5, but because he played b6 first, I don't have the en passant anymore with my pawn on a5. I would have had that en passant from here if he'd played this. So it just was like a less ideal version of, but g5 was still pretty strong because I let him fork me. But now I get this. I'm like, okay, I just take now it's a very tactical situation because when I take there, he takes back with, he must be the bishop. No, he took on c3. I thought he was going to take with the bishop. What would have happened? Okay, after g takes f6, he does b takes c3. But yeah, okay, that'll be the main line. So I'm going to make a side line now. Oh, I could have been winning with just taking on g7, huh? Wait, didn't I? Yeah, I did. Okay, good. Like, if I don't do that. Okay, so after g takes f6, now he should just take back with this. And then I was even looking at potential. No, you don't sack the knight there, I don't think. Yeah, because again, if you sack the knight on e4 as a desperado, you let his pieces out. You just calmly, soberly go back. He takes on c3, you take back. What are we at? We got 2, 4, 6. We got 2, 4, 6 pawns against 2, 4, 6 pawns. But again, his c5 pawn is problematic. Maybe a6 more so. See, I still think this is a big problem for him, and that queen is kind of in the crosshairs at some point. Kind of like what happened in the game. Oh, he can actually take on a4 though. That's interesting. Because if you take, he takes on c3. So you go queen b2, and then he does this. Well, what's going on here? He goes rook b8, and then you go. Oh, this is hard to calculate in the game because you hit him with this. He takes you. You take the queen. He can take. You draw the knight back. So 2, 4, 5. So yeah, it looks like we're getting the pawn back. I think. Knight c8. Wait, what if he just does rook? What am I missing? Rook c8. King d2. So just the strength of getting the file, maybe? It's complicated. Bishop e5. King g7. So if you get the two connected past pawns, if he takes, you just leave it there, and then you just bring out your knight. That's interesting. He comes here, attacks it, probably king d2 now. And then he goes a5, so rook b1's met by a4. But then you sink your knight in. So you're down a pawn, but you got a lot of good play for white. And the computer likes white here. Up a pawn, essentially, even though you're down a pawn. Interesting. But good play. Yeah, really good play with the pieces. Probably leading to win of material in the end. Okay, so he takes on c3. Of course, I take on g7 to get the bishop pair. And, I mean, most importantly, the dark squared bishop, which is going to just tear up that diagonal. So I take on g7. And like I said, I think it should be winning for me, especially after this kind of the dust settles. I take back with the queen, of course, and he doesn't take, though. He plays the right move, because if he takes, he just opens up the line. But when he did that, I made the decision to just throw away the pawn, because I'm like, well, I don't want him to do this and block the line. So I thought, okay, this seems pretty annoying for him, because I check, and then, oh, wow, it still says I have advantage. And then after he goes knight takes g, but that allows him to go to f6 with the knight now. But the line that the computer likes is simply going to f2. Well, look, if I get to keep the pawn on g7, then I'm up at that pawn, and it still has tactical points. Plus, I can put pressure on g6. I have h5. I mean, it's got to be good. Let's say he takes this. Okay, he gets that pawn. You take on b8 and go, yeah, I was looking at that queen a5 idea. So you can just take right away. He gets the file, but you've stopped him from penetrating with the rook on covering b2. And then you get an a5, and what? Knight takes d5. What is going on? Does he sack on f4 if you take on a? What is this? You take here. If you take here, does he have a sack on f4? He has a sack on e3 and he wins. Oh, wow. That's insane. This really does get crazy. If you take, it's a mate on d4. See? Taking is a mate. So that's nice. So you have to move. Well, what is this threat exactly? Still queen d4, I imagine. Oh, wow. Knight take, that's a hard move. That's hard to see ahead of time. Knight takes, that would be a shocker. You're like planning for this whole thing, and no, you just can't take a4 though. You just take it back. Well, now his bishop's still hanging. So we got 2, 4, 5 against 2. Okay, so black is 10. No, you're getting the c pawn back now. No, you're not, because he goes bishop b5. He blocks it, and then you finally go here. You're holding this pawn. So pawns are equal, but you got that really strong bishop. What is okay? This is crazy. He takes here. And now he's hitting the bishop, but then you get this f4, trusty f4 pawn guard to the bishop. He hits this, but then he takes on d5. You take on b8, but then he's coming towards your king, but he can't really get in because he can't penetrate here or here because the queen covers. But he tries this, trying to come into d3. And how do we stop it? Or do we just attack? We just attack. h5, and he goes g5. Let's just see what happens here. And then king g3. Oh man, this is crazy. Wow. And then you blockade the pawn with the king on f4. That's hilarious. So the king just comes to f4 and everything's controlled because you got your bishop holding that line. Oh, wow. And beautiful, the beauty of chess. And now we could do this, I guess. But, yeah, you could. But then you just block this. Let's say he comes in. And then you finally win your pawn. And he comes here, and you could just move your king probably to e5 or something. And he has nothing. He can check again, but then you just come in further, or go to d4. Oh, you come here hitting the bishop, so now he really has to react, and everything's falling, and white wins. And he doesn't have any perpetual. Wow, that's insane. Okay, so I did this, which was still fine, but like as you can see, my idea was just to go back to b2. Maybe I should have just gone king f2 because he's not stopping this anyway. But I either need to block it or come back. Yeah, I made this quickly. Now again, we were both getting into time pressure, so I had 3 minutes. He had 1 minute. He thought for a long time, actually. with his response. He thought for so long because he had a big time advantage. Like before, when I played G5 and he played B4, I had 6 minutes, he had 16 minutes. Now I have 3 minutes, he has 1 minute after. He had like 5 or 6 though, but now he has 1 minute after knight f6. And then I go, of course, king f2. And now the computer says I'm approximately up the equivalent of 2 pawns. Yeah, that was right. So king f2 connect the rooks. See, I have to watch out for h4. I ended up getting in trouble there because it did come back to get me. Now it says he should check. I'm not going to remember all the moves, but see, he does this. I'm like, why is he doing that? But see, this is the point. I should have been more careful because now when I move the bishop at some point, which I did, so that must have been a mistake. Because now now it's less clear because he takes on b1. I just totally missed it in time pressure, and then he gets the check, and then I take it, and then it's like, oh, I didn't even see it at first. I'm like, oh, because we were just moving so fast. Queen takes h4 check. So I did this, and then I just traded queens. But even then I get the file. So he's like, and he even told me, he's like, I wasn't sure if I should do this. I get the pawn, but now you have the file. We have opposite colored bishops. He probably takes a4 because he doesn't want rook b7 winning the bishop. But then I get rook b7 check. I'm like, I'm getting in. He goes here. I get this check. Okay, hold on. But before we get, okay, so again, I think I was probably had a good chance to win this. I probably had a good chance. But so I'm clearly having an advantage here. But now, okay, what was better? So we have to find an improvement. So I was too ambitious with, okay, again, a5. Yeah, I knew I needed that. That's the move. That's it. I mean, you don't give him that. You still have this penetration point on b6. Now we'll handle this. Maybe you know what? Maybe we'll stick our king on g3. It reminds me of the Capablanca versus Treywell game, 1929, where he kind of has to maneuver his king. It's closed up. He had not this closed. It's more closed up than this, but he had to maneuver his king to just the right place. He went to like g3 to h4, came back, ultimately decided on g2. But you got to put your king in the right place. So it actually says king g2 is a recommendation by the computer there in this line. But after, let's say, okay, whatever, rook f8, for example. Okay, well then of course, then we go bishop e5. What if he doesn't oblige us like that? If he goes, I don't know what he does though. It's just better for white. And I mean, just the value of that bishop is just, yeah, he shouldn't have let me take on g7. But it turned out to be favorable for me. But this was the best situation that I could have had out of it. Yeah, so a5 is just a positional win. And I still have the passed pawn there. See, that asset's there. Not to mention another asset for me, which, well, this is like an asset for me, and this is sort of a deficit for him. The c5 weakness. Okay, so I did this, which gives me the b file, but of course there's the blunder in terms of giving up the pawn. Then I'm like, okay, how do I handle this? Well, yeah, I just got to let him take with check, but then I go queen g2. So if he moves away, I'm coming to b7. That's problematic for him because if he moves his rook here, I chase it away and I win this with check. It's over. So he has to trade queens though, and I get the b file. So it's drawish, but there was actually in the tribute to Walter Brown when he died a couple years ago. Chess Life showed some of his games, and they showed how he won like 4 different rook end games, rook and bishop end games, opposite color, just like this. So I'm like, okay, Walter Brown did it. I can try to do it. But I know it's a possibility, whereas if it's just opposite color bishops, unless you're playing like that awesome game by, was it Ivan Shirov, I think. Ivan Shirov, I think it was Shirov, yeah, it's got to be. So it was Shirov, where he sacks the bishop on the side. You've probably seen it if you know some chess studies. And then he pulls the pawn away, and that gives him like a passed pawn or two, and allows his king to infiltrate. And so he converts it by going from opposite colored bishops to winning king and pawns versus king and bishop and pawns. But he wins without a bishop, which was amazing. But it just shows you that even like that, there's still wins. But yeah, there's got to be something here. So when he takes on a4, I get rook b7. He goes, I'll try to remember as many moves as I can. So this is the first time I'm looking at these, but since I played. But after king f8, now of course I should have taken. I know I should have taken. See, this was like a blind. I mean, I had 2 blind spots during the tournament. I wasn't so sharp. I mean, I had 2 nice wins. I felt good about the wins, but yeah, the two ones I lost, I should have won too, unfortunately. But hey, shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? But you gotta make, again, it's concrete moves. I didn't realize just the power of these ones. See, I'm gonna win this pawn too on c5. That's the power of it. Is that I go here, I'm like, look, I thought I was gonna win. I thought I was gonna do this and try to win the rook and win this, which I wanted. But then it's like he has bishop e8. Wait, what did I do? I did rook h7. What did he have? Oh, you know what I did is I did bishop d6 check and took on c5, but I probably should have just gotten rid of it. I didn't think it was a problem, but this is tricky. Bishop d6 check. That's what I did. Did I? No, he didn't do bishop. Did he do that right away? I feel like something else happened. No, I know I did rook h7. Obviously, king g8 loses to rook h8, picks up the rook, skewer. So yeah, he does this. He stops the skewer. And then I should have taken the pawn. If I had taken this, no, I don't know. I get two connected pass pawns though. So he goes here. What did I do? I forgot the exact move order. I may have done this to win this. He probably went here, but it was something along these lines. And then I go to a3 and blockade it. So yeah, I mean, this seems pretty strong. And then somehow, but he got these passed pawns rolling somehow. But I got my pawns into here. Yeah, he didn't play rook b8. He probably should have. What happened there exactly? Thought I did play rook. I thought I did pin the bishop, maybe. Did he? But it says he took on, the last move I had was rook takes b1. When he did rook takes b1. And then I just remembered that this is what happened after that. But then I remember this part. Did he take on, he may not have taken on a4 right away. He may, well, he saw this coming. So, again, that loses. If he does anything else, if he allows rook b7, it wins the bishop because rook d8, I have bishop f6. But how to win this? Again, if I had a5 and earlier, I wouldn't have even given him that option of taking on a4. But he gets it. I get in here. I just feel like he didn't take on a4 right away. It's some move order difference, I think. Because yeah, I may have would have just taken here probably. Because this pawn might fall anyway. But let's say I do this. He goes here. I go. Let's just look at what the best moves are here. Now let's say rook d8. Well, he does a5. I take it, something like this. And then let's say he gets his rook out. But he didn't. I don't know. Somehow he didn't. Oh, what happened was I gained a move to the extent that I was able to get the. Yeah, so there was like some back and forth somewhere, and then I ended up getting to b7. Let's say he had. But how did he get these pawns rolling? He had like g5 in or something. Okay, but then I ended up getting in, like, somehow my rook went to b7. But that happened before I did this. Okay, here's what happened. So I must have gone, yeah, it must have been like this. And then, does he push? Does he give me the pawn? No, I didn't check. I don't know. You know, I think I may have come over to b7, but that didn't make sense. But somehow, like, I ended up getting the c pawn, and he got the a pawn. But then, so we both have 4 pawns, but my pawns were running fast, so they were pretty much, it seemed like they were winning. And then somehow it said, like, he shuffles around. I ended up getting in, like, pushing the pawns, but I got to c6. How did it get there? I'm trying to recreate this. Let's say he did g5. And then I go c5, something like this. And then let's say he gets in. Somehow his king came up. Oh, I ended up getting this one. Okay, so it was something like this, and push. But I got c6 and 2. But he didn't get. It wasn't like this. Okay. Let's say I don't know. Let's say it ended up like this. Somehow I ended up getting the pawn though. How did I win? Oh, you know what happened was, I played rook to b4 actually. Let's say this happened, and then he gets over here. I go here, he attacks. Now I know, oh, then I should have played c5, but I played rook b4, and somehow I won this one. Let's say he gets in this one. How did I win that one? Somehow I got that pawn moving. Let's say I took it. I don't think I took it though. No, I didn't take it. I don't know, but yeah, maybe it wasn't as clear as I thought, but I know I got these pawns. I'll just like recreate somehow where the pawns ended up getting there. Let's say he shuffled. Somehow we got to here. Let's say he comes back, and then I got c6 in. The pawns were on g5 and c6, and somehow I got both pawns in. And then, once I got c6 in, let's say he gets his king up, and then I ended up taking this one, right? So I was up a queen. No, I wasn't up a pawn, but I had two connected passed pawns. And it says his best bet was just to sack and probably get a draw. But he somehow he gets in, and then do I check yet? I came from behind. It was almost mate threats. Yeah, I mean the situation was like this. So yeah, I knew earlier it was good once I had rook into b7, and this position. I knew there was something there because this is the type of position we had, and he hadn't progressed too much yet. But let's say we look at best moves for both sides and see how white wins. So it was something like this. No, what happened was he pushed here. Okay, let's say I check. I thought what happened was I thought that I had a mate on him, but I was playing so fast, like, oh, it's a mate. But then he like escaped with his king somehow. And then that way I ended up giving up the c pawn or something stupid like that. So it was just a bad time pressure judgment call. One move came down to one move, but assuming I played correctly and did like here, he goes g6, and if I check, he goes to h. Well, now I've driven the king out. And clearly, I mean, these pawns are clearly way more potent than these pawns. And he's even in a mating net in some cases. And let's say I go c7. Let's say like, okay, it wasn't quite like this in the game, but this could be nice for white. Maybe a Zugzwang scenario. Well, the point is you're just going here. So he tries to get out, and you just go, yeah, you just run. And he doesn't have time to do anything. I mean, he can move here. I think we're just going to go d7, right? And we're winning the bishop, and we're winning the rook, probably. It's game. It's just game. And you got bishop e5, and rook down. And then you're going to win the rook. Yeah, I knew. I'm not going to make excuses there, but I knew I could have that. Would have tied for first there in the tournament. But yeah, my friend Dino, he did really well. So I beat him. I actually showed up. It was weird. I hate toll roads, but I was trying to avoid the toll road, and I showed up a little late. So I had to move really fast. But I ended up getting him. I got revenge because he got me last time. So now we're 1-1. But then he won all the rest of his games. So he ended up getting 3 points, and then I lost this guy when the guy was up 2 pawns against. I messed that game up. But if I had won this last one, we would have actually split the prize. But hey, he got it. Good for him. So it's all good. But in terms of the truth of this position, it would have been nice to play that out and to figure out the best moves here. But that's reality. You can't always get it there. But yeah, I know it was very similar. I got a4 because I played c6 to take on a4, just kill his asset. Because this is again, this theme of assets today, where you get rid of their main asset, and then you've just got your asset here, which is 2 connected passed pawns. And the opposite colored bishops, they don't matter really. They actually help you. And the point is that it kept I think his king was like over here, maybe he wasted time doing that. But then I had my pawns on light squares with the bishop on the dark squares. So you either make a mating net or you keep the king out, and that buys you some time to get in and make progress. Now, meanwhile, I can easily handle these guys. It's going to take them a while to make progress there. So I was way ahead in that pawn race, and it was enough to get in. But such is life, right? Yeah, but that was some interesting stuff in terms of first of all from the Dutch, and then the middle game, a lot of complications, and closing lines, opening lines, using the pawns as levers, and then pretty interesting end game, which I messed up. But hey, next time something like this comes up, just stick with the concrete lines and don't make any ghost no ghosts, right? Make sure you don't see any no blind spots. So that's the game. I think they probably came out in 2 because it got messed up earlier. Let's see. So we have Costa said the stream was working fine. If your opponent is playing the Dutch, let them. Yeah, and then as I said, try and play e4 against them. And I have hi Shub. Shub, I don't know if you're still on there or not. Looks like we have one person watching, so maybe hopefully you got something out of that. And sorry for the disconnection earlier. But yeah, let me know what you think on here. Now, I'm not sure about the analysis board. If there's a way to have like you contribute. Oh, there's not even a comment section. There must be some way to stream, to have it be maybe it needs to be an analysis board of a game that was already played, and then other people can view that game or something. There's got to be. I mean, it's an open source site. People created good code for it. There's got to be some way to use an analysis board in that way. So if you know it, please let me know. um, and I'll try to look it up somehow. Yeah, hopefully you got something out of that analysis, and have a good evening or morning, depending on where you are.